And it was only with my case that somehow that has changed. And here's where the homework is, because the big constitutional separation of powers are these. Can Congress compel a senior White House advisor, what they call the alter ego of a president, to testify before Congress? And executive privilege goes back to George Washington and his remarks to the Congress regarding the Jay Treaty. And he said very simply and clearly, succinctly, elegantly, that to write to the Congress, he said, I cannot command you as members of Congress to come to me. You cannot command me to come to you. And the reason is the constitutional separation of powers. And as the legal doctrines have evolved, and the Supreme Court has been very adamant about the sanctity of executive privilege, that privilege has extended to what's called alter egos of the president, which is what I am as one of his highest advisors. And the principle here related to effective presidential decision-making is simply that if a president does not have the ability between and among his advisors to get confidential information in the sanctity of the Oval Office, he will make poor decisions which will harm the Republic. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. And as this case has worked through the legal process, there are a number of big issues that we will be going through on the appeal that Mr. Woodward in the back there will lead with Stan Brand, two of the finest scholars in this area imaginable. So the issues, again, please do your research. It's, can Congress compel someone like me to testify? The answer has been no ever since George Washington said that to the Jay Treaty. What constitutes executive privilege? Is it presumptive? If not presumptive, what does a formal invocation look like? In my case, I had an evidentiary hearing for the first time in history. I presented just a mountain of direct testimony and circumstantial evidence related to emails, correspondence, phone calls, and visits with the president and his top aides. And at the end of that day, the judge made the novel choice to say privilege had not been invoked. And it was absurd. It was probably the most absurd element of this case. So the appeals court and then the Supreme Court will ponder that issue, and it's a really important issue. A third issue has to do with the fact, and this should chill you, okay? If you're ever in my position and you have to go to trial, it should chill you to know that the judge has the discretion to strip you of any defense before you ever get to a jury. How can that be? That can't be the law. And the way that happened in this case was through the misapplication of an antiquated, misapplied precedent of the lower court that had no bearing on anything related to cases involving executive privilege. It was absurd. And in a related case with Stephen K. Bannon, Judge Nichols released him pending appeal with one line, released because I think this may be reversed. And the thing that Nichols said, top of the list, was licavoli. That's the four-letter word in this case. The last issue is something called the rule of lenity. Again, put yourself in my shoes. The law, up to the point where I was convicted, said one thing, which is to say, I was doing my duty to this country, the Constitution, and my oath of office, according to the Department of Justice, according to the Supreme Court. They flipped that.